Welcome to the Art of Classiness Podcast, a show where we redefine what it means to be a classy lady. And sometimes it's messy. I'm Robin.
And I'm Deborah, two friends turned classy ladies who are here to discuss life's ups and downs, navigating the complexities of adulthood, and how the gift of friendship is essential to belonging.
Today we're diving into the uncomfortable but oh so relatable moments when your best friend might not be doing a great job at playing the role of your best friend.
We're talking about the times your ride or die lets you down, distances themselves, or straight up drops the ball, and how those moments shape or break a friendship.
We'll be looking at 3 iconic TV friendships to spark the conversation. But you know us, it's really about the real life stuff underneath.
So follow along, give us your feedback, and don't forget to like and subscribe. What is up, classy ladies and gentlemen? Let's check on in. Robin, what's going on?
Oh, you know.
I do not know. That's why I asked.
You don't. I'm going to tell you, though. Fire season has begun, and we've been inside all week because the smoke outside has been pretty yucky. Like, it's something that happens every year, but I've never been, like, in it as a resident.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Just reading every day, like, 0% contained.
Oh.
Like, Bend itself is okay. Like, in general, it's protected. But, I mean, just the wilderness is in shambles. And it makes me worried and sad for all the animals.
Yeah, that is really stressful almost because you feel comforted that Bend is not going to get consumed by wildfires. But it is challenging to know that it's not only close to you, but it is still impacting you in the sense that, you know, you move there to be outside and enjoy nature and revel in the summer. That's a lot cooler than it is in Austin. And yeah, to be stuck inside for that sounds like a real bummer.
Yeah, it's like a bummer until I think about people whose homes are actually in danger of catching fire. And then I'm like, you know what? This is fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually fine.
Yeah.
And we have air purifiers. I like being inside, so it's just an excuse not to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Ugh. Well, hopefully it clears up soon.
Yeah, today's a better day. I think they contained it more, but things change every hour, so we'll see.
Yeah.
How are you?
You know, we're back in it. First full week back at work post-vacation, so a little chaotic. Yesterday, I just felt like I had my irons in every single fire in my life, from my consulting work to the coaches I support to this podcast to I had a friendship meeting. I had a coffee meeting with my budding friend from the Tri-Village. And yeah.
I've never heard that. I had a friendship meeting.
I know. Probably shouldn't have said it like that. But we did it's funny. We did set it up like on our calendars, you know, and then I got to the coffee shop. I'm like, oh, we're just hanging. So yeah, it's been just kind of, I feel like I've been all over the place. And yet I do also feel like I am building traction in my life. Like I do have just like that sense that I'm like, the train track is just really chugging along and we're going up a hill right now. And like, I'm just so close to turning the corner and having things feel as aligned as I want them to be. So I'm grateful for that, but very much looking forward to this weekend where I can finally feel like I have time to take care of myself and do my laundry and just relax a little bit, because I definitely feel like I got back from my vacation and just jumped right back into it. So looking forward to that as usual.
Well, that sounds nice. I was actually thinking the same thing about you the other day. I was like, Deborah has so much going on. It just seems like life is being kinder to you now.
You know, that's interesting that you say that, because I think the only thing that has changed is my mindset.
Hey, and that is life being kinder to you.
Turns out that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But I feel like since the triathlon, I just had a series of things kind of happen in succession leading up to the triathlon. And after that, I just was like, you know what? We got to just have a better mentality here. We really got to keep our head up and held high. And, a dog chasing its own tail is like someone chasing happiness. So you can never quite get to it. But once you start walking in a straight line, the tail will be right behind you.
Aw.
I know. Okay, well, let's get into our main topic, our classy convo today, when your best friend is not playing the role of your best friend. And I say it like that because we are going to explore some challenging friendship moments, from dropping the ball to being selfish to maybe even projecting your own shit on the people closest to you. We're going to examine those conflicts through the lens of 3 different episodes today because we love television.
That's right. We love it. And we rewatched these very specific episodes that we're going to touch on. So we've done our homework and let's just dive in.
Yeah, let's dive in. So we'll go through each episode. We'll give you a little overview of the show in case you haven't seen any of these 3 iconic shows. And maybe this will even spark your inspiration to go back and do some rewatches, because I definitely found myself wanting to hit next on some of these shows.
I also did, and I did.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the show that we are going to start with, and I chose this order just because of the timeline in which the shows were released. So we're starting with Sex and the City, Season 4, Episode 7, Time and Punishment. And if you've never seen Sex and the City, it's an HBO series that follows 4 women, Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha, as they navigate dating, friendship, and identity in New York City. So it's known for its fashion, brunches, and big opinions about love, but underneath all of that is the real exploration of how adult friendships evolve when life gets messy.
And in this episode, Time and Punishment, we chose this because this has been a hot topic of conversation as people are reevaluating and rewatching Sex and the City. But if you recall, this is where Miranda throws out her neck, like pulls a neck muscle, and she ends up stuck on her bathroom floor, completely alone and in pain. So she calls Carrie for help, expecting her best friend to show up in a crisis. But instead of coming herself, Carrie sends her boyfriend, Aiden.
Blech. This is a rare moment in Sex and the City where the friendship feels super one-sided. Miranda is physically vulnerable, I think probably emotionally humiliated. And Carrie, who I feel like in general, she's usually really good about showing up for her friends in times of need. She is too self-absorbed in this moment to see what is right in front of her. They don't have this blowout fight, but it's one of those quiet betrayals that hits a lot harder because it's unexpected. Like Miranda called Carrie because she needed Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
And Carrie told her, I'm coming.
Right.
So she didn't even give Miranda a heads up, like it's not going to be me. And that is just super shitty.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new discourse as younger generations start to discover Sex and the City. And a lot of them just don't get it. Right. They don't get it. And there's a reevaluation of Carrie as a person and a ton of discourse around her being insufferable. Some of it is warranted. Some of it just didn't age well. But I would say this is a perfect example in that show of Carrie kind of being insufferable, because the reason she is so scattered and not prioritizing her friends is because she is fighting with her boyfriend, Aiden. And I could go on a whole diatribe about how I hate Aiden. And I think he's emotionally manipulative and insecure. And I don't understand why they are trying to make Aiden happen in the new series, but I digress. The reason that they're having a conflict is because Aiden is not over the fact that Carrie cheated on him with Big, which is super valid.
Super valid.
And he's being a passive-aggressive asshole the whole time. So instead of confronting the situation head on, Carrie just keeps trying to beef up her man, make him feel like the big, strong man. She's over-complimenting him. She's putting him on a pedestal, trying to make him feel so good about himself that he forgets that she had an affair. And because she is doing that, she hands him this opportunity oh my God, you're such a good boyfriend. Thank you so much for going. Who's got it better than me? And that's really why I think she puts Aiden in that situation, is to make him feel like a hero, when really her friend Miranda just needs her to show up for her in a very vulnerable moment.
Yeah, she was completely lost in that relationship, trying to repair it. And I just want to add, the fact that Aiden straight up said, I don't want you to ever speak to him again. And she said, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You cheated on him with this guy and you can't cut off communication. Like, that is a whole other level of fucked, and they should have just broken up right then.
100%.
But I digress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
that was fucked.
That was fucked. And there's a moment when, Miranda calls Carrie on her shit because Carrie shows up with the apology bagels, forgets cream cheese.
Forgets the cream cheese. Ugh.
And just starts talking about Aiden again. And Miranda was like, hold the front door. I needed you and you didn't show up. All you care about is what's going on with you and Aiden, and I'm not here for it. And so they talk through it. And within 60 seconds, Miranda has kind of forgiven her, and she goes back to talking about Aiden again.
Yeah, literally gives it a beat. Barely gives it a beat before she's like, well, you know who else is mad at me? Aiden. She just is so laser focused on this completely broken relationship. And this is why people have a big issue with Carrie when they do the rewatch, because moment like that, it's like, you are tone deaf, woman. You are so tone deaf.
It makes me cringe.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me cringe.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be talking about Aiden at all. You should be wholly focused on repairing your friendship with Miranda. She needed you. You didn't show up.
Not only did she not show up, she waited a whole ass day. It's one thing to be like, hey, I have this meeting with my editor. I can't really reschedule it. But then what did Carrie do? She went home. She put on a heinous fucking outfit, that crop top, turtleneck, long sleeve with a beret and then a belt over her skirt. I know they took some chances with the fashion in that show, but that was just a fucking heinous outfit. Went to the bar. Aiden obviously was trying to play mind games with her and make her think that he was going to sleep with the bartender. And then Carrie goes home and waits up for him all night. Bitch, you should have been at Miranda's house. You knew what she had been through. You knew that her doctor said you can't even go to work for a week. You can't even do any strenuous exercise. So you should have been at Miranda's place making her dinner or at least bringing her takeout.
Seriously, Aiden took her to the chiropractor. She is in serious pain.
Mm-hmm.
Go help your friend. It's okay, you didn't show up when you needed to. You still, show up the same day.
Right.
Show up the same day.
Yeah. Absolute bullshit.
You're so right. Waiting a full day it's fucked. I'd be so mad.
I would be pissed too. I would be super pissed. So let's transition this lens to a real life scenario, because obviously we can't always physically be there for our friends when they need us, on the bathroom floor, and life gets in the way. You can't be there. What is a better way of handling that situation?
Well, whether or not being busy is a valid excuse, that's debatable. That's debatable. But I feel like this was straight up emotional neglect. So in the real life situation, if you know you can't show up in person right then and there, for me personally, I would drop everything to show up for my friend. But in a scenario where it's really something you have to be at, communicate that to your friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can either say, I don't think you understand how serious this is.
Right.
Carrie should have at least given her a heads up that it wasn't going to be her.
Mm-hmm.
You and I live in the same town. This happened to you. You call me.
If Seth showed up, absolutely not. I'm sorry. I love you, Podcast Poppy, but you are not going to be rolling me up like an egg roll in my bathroom mat to take me to the chiropractor.
No, I don't know how I would reframe it other than just show up for you.
Right.
Because it's all about priorities.
Yeah.
My friendships are my priority. And Carrie had other priorities that day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So in conclusion, Carrie is the worst. And I think we've settled that debate forever.
Well, let's ask a few questions here. Let's play a little song and dance and see if it brings up anything else here.
Okay.
Can romantic partners ever replace the role of a best friend? I would argue most times not.
No, most times not. And in the sense that someone else's romantic partner is not a good replacement for them as the best friend, right? I will say that if done correctly, you can feel the same level of support from your best friend's romantic partner as you do from them. And I specifically think of when I was pregnant with my youngest, their father was actually deployed, and I was in a state that my family didn't live in. So I really had to rely on my friends to help me do things big and small. And sometimes that meant I had to rely on their partners as well. And our friends, Melissa and Evan, were huge support systems during that time. And Evan would often show up to do things for me in the times where maybe Melissa couldn't. And because I was so close to both of them, like that really meant a lot to me. I did feel seen in those moments because I knew Melissa would want to be there and help out, but she sent in what she felt was like the next best thing. So I think there are times when if you have a closeness with everybody involved, that you can say, I'm really sorry, I can't be the one to be there, but I'm going to send in a surrogate. But you have to know how comfortable your friend is with your romantic partner before you're willing to make that decision.
Exactly. And we know that Miranda was not on that comfort level with Aiden.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point.
Well, what do you think it says about your friendship when you prioritize your romantic stress over somebody else's real emergency? Because in Carrie's mind, what she was dealing with Aiden was a much bigger issue than Miranda pulling her neck in the bathroom. Like in that moment, that's what she chose to prioritize.
Yeah, she definitely didn't see Miranda's situation as an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't see it as big of a problem. Like she is solely focused on repairing her romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm. But in Miranda's eyes, her being paralyzed on the floor as a lawyer and someone who is training for the New York City Marathon, this is the worst thing that could happen to her.
Yeah. I could see how dealing with romantic stress would be all-consuming when you're terrified that the relationship is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Carrie was doing. She's grasping at straws, trying to figure out how to keep him. And I think it probably put her body into like a fight or flight.
Yeah.
And so she's just fighting to keep this relationship, and she can't think about any other relationships right now.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's okay. I can see in a real life situation how that could happen to any of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it says anything about your friendship. It's just like this was a lesson for Carrie. It's a reminder that your friendships have just as much, if not more, importance as your romantic relationships. And you have to always keep that at front of mind.
Right. Absolutely.
Would I want Miranda to show up for me if I hurt my neck and needed help?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you reverse the role, ask yourself that question, whatever that answer is, follow through.
So what roles do you think should never be outsourced?
What roles?
Or what situations would you, under no circumstance, should you send the boy or girl?
If you know that the person you're outsourcing to can actually help, that's when I think it's okay. Aside from that, you don't outsource.
Right. Right. And I think the cop-out that Carrie used as an excuse was Aiden's better in a crisis. And okay, sweetie, what were you actually going to have to do? You know what I mean? Like your friend needed you to come over, help her put her clothes on, help her get to the chiropractor. Like she's not bleeding out in the bathroom. Do you know what I mean? Like that was such a cop-out for her to be like, he's better in a stressful situation. Bitch, come on.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So I think you're right. Like most of the time, if it's an emotional emergency, you cannot outsource. Maybe if it's a physical one that's like beyond your capabilities.
Well, and this was kind of physical.
It was kind of physical. Yeah.
But I think Carrie still should have shown up and helped make Miranda presentable.
Mm-hmm.
And then had Aiden come help pick her up or whatever. Like that's the part, like she was completely exposed.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I would die.
That is so mortifying. And that she couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, I could never. I could never get over it. So, okay. So takeaways, don't outsource your emergencies. over communicate if you can't show up the way a friend needs you to, and don't prioritize a boyfriend over your friends. Okay, husband, different territory. A boyfriend that's being a passive-aggressive asshole, he is not worth more than your friend who needs you to show up for them.
100%. That was the other thing, is like, he did not deserve priority.
No, man-child.
Okay, so moving on to our second show, we're gonna address the conflict between Lily and Robin in How I Met Your Mother, Season 6, Episode 9, titled Glitter. And How I Met Your Mother is a sitcom that follows a group of friends living in New York. Their names are Ted, Robin, Barney, Lily, and Marshall. And they're navigating love, careers, and a lot of questionable decisions. And it's told from the future via Ted narrating how he met the mother of his kids. But along the way, it dives deep into their friendship dynamics, personal growth, and more than a few moments where the group really tests each other's patience.
So in this episode, Lily is getting ready to get pregnant. Her and Marshall have decided they want to start trying to have a baby. And this has obviously taken over every conversation that Lily and Robin has, to the point where Robin really starts to distance herself from Lily. While this is going on, we learn of a former best friend that Robin has named Jessica Glitter. And the two of them were TV hosts of a Canadian show for kids. And we learn that Robin and Jessica had a falling out about 5 years ago. Through some detective work on behalf of Ted, we learn that the reason that Robin and Jessica stopped being friends is because Jessica had a baby. Now, initially, Lily thinks that Robin cut Jessica out because she didn't want to be friends with the mom because she hates kids. And so this caused a fight between Robin and Lily. And instead of Lily going there to try to repair the situation, Lily projected her fears about losing that friendship to the point where she said, maybe we just shouldn't be friends anymore. So they have a quick falling out. But then Lily learns by meeting Jessica Glitter that Jessica was the one who ended the friendship, because when you become a mom, it's all consuming, and she wasn't able to give the time to her friendship with Robin. So a lot going on in this episode, including a really wonderful scene at the Canadian bar that Robin goes to, where Robin and Jessica sing one of their old Canadian hits, Two Beavers Are Better Than One, with a Canadian flag in the background, and Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke, yes.
Really a little bit of everything going on in this episode. But at the heart of it, you have this conflict that a lot of women face, which is, are things going to change when you have kids?
And I think it's important. So you've described Lily's side of this scenario, but Robin is experiencing the complete opposite. Because of past trauma, her childhood, her fear of abandonment, and we learn that she actually lost a friendship through someone having a child, that she's pushing Lily away before Lily could leave her. So, like, she's pushing Lily away for a completely different reason than Lily is pushing her away.
Right.
She's just, she's preparing to be hurt, whereas Lily is just preparing for the fallout that she's sure is going to happen. Like, I think that is really interesting, and that's where, like, there's a huge lack of communication going on.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them are talking about their feelings. Like, this is what, like, the kind of situation that could have very easily been avoided, but they let these deep-rooted fears take control, and then they're only reacting to those feelings that's coming from within. That's what creates this whole rift, creates all these, like, micro arguments that turns into this explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And they just assumed it was over before they even tried to repair it.
Right. Both of them were trying to get ahead of future hurt by just pouring all the gasoline on the fire right now to, like, make sure it burnt to the ground, because neither of them were ready to face what could potentially be a slow burn, which is almost more painful than just the immediate falling out.
Yeah. This is a perfect example of, like, what we were just talking about, is thinking 10 steps ahead so that you're prepared. And it's a totally avoidable rupture rooted in fear rather than reality.
Mm-hmm.
And their emotions have completely taken over. And I get it. I totally get it because it's a big transition.
Right.
When one of your friends is even talking about having a kid. It's a huge life transition. Your friendship will change. And I think the fear of how it might change is what caused the conflict.
Right. Exactly. So ultimately, they're able to repair it because they're finally able to see it through each other's eyes, right? They're finally able to get away from their own self-fulfilling prophecy, where you create a narrative that is not based in reality. Like we've all done that, right? When you don't get the validation that you need from someone else, you all of a sudden create an entirely alternative reality where you're like, she hates kids. And I bet she hates the fact that I'm going to be pregnant and she's not going to want to have anything to do with me. And like, you're actually being so mean to the other person when you do that because you have no right to decide how they're going to think or feel about your situation. So both of them were doing that. But once they were finally able to calm down and really share the fears that each of them had, then you realize that Robin does not hate kids. She just doesn't want them for herself, which, by the way, is a very common trait that I think a lot of women who are child-free by choice get, is that they hate kids. No, they just don't want to raise them themselves, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And you know that Robin is going to be a great aunt to Lily's children in the future and that she's always going to be in her life. And, you know, I think once they finally got that validation from each other, all those fears kind of subsided.
Yeah, they dissipated. They stopped letting their insecurities drive the conversation, which that's often how conflict starts. It's our insecurities showing themselves.
Yeah, it's your insecurity and then your ego deciding to take the wheel. Like, we're not going to let this person hurt us. We're going to be in control of the situation and we're going to get ahead of this. And it's just ego and insecurity fighting each other back and forth.
Yep. I find this scenario more relatable than the Sex and the City one, just because you could change the subject material in any situation. And this has happened to all of us millions of times.
Yeah, which is hilarious because this scenario includes teenage Canadian pop star and Alan Thicke with beaver puppets. And yet it's somehow more relatable than Sex and the City. It'd be like that sometimes.
It'd be like that. So how does unspoken grief over a friendship changing lead us to self-sabotage?
Yeah, I think exactly what we said. When you are not communicating in a two-way situation, what you're really doing is having a conflict in your mind with your perception of that other person. So you're not even fighting with a real person the majority of the conflict. Like, think about that. When you go through that period of time of like, oh, I don't feel good about our last interaction, and then you wait a few days or maybe a week before you actually confront that person, the entire time you're just fighting with the idea of them in your head. And then it's making you more mad or more sad or making you more fearful, giving you more anxiety. But you're not actually having a conflict with another person. You're having a conflict with the idea of that other person in your head. And I think that is something that everybody has experienced, whether it is a friend, a family member, a loved one. The majority of a conflict is just you in your head, fighting your own insecurities and demons.
We could be so mean to ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good question. How do life transitions strain close friendships? We are elder millennials. We have experienced this time and time again.
Nothing but trauma.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're making a big transition, like I said, both of these factors are in play, egos and insecurities, right? You have insecurity in the sense where somebody else's transition might feel like a magnifying glass on all of your faults, all the areas that you don't feel good enough, all of your areas of opportunity, if you will, and to overcome how you feel about that ickiness of like, oh, they got promoted and their company's going to move them across the country. You want to think as a good friend that you're going to be the biggest cheerleader, you're going to stand up, root somebody on, but your insecurities of, well, are we not even going to be as close friends anymore because we're not going to be in the same state? Are they going to get all new hoity-toity fancy friends because now they're going to be making all this money at their new job? And like, I can't even get somebody to interview me and this person is going ahead and getting this great opportunity. So I feel like both of those things are really just like boiling under the surface, and that can create a lot of conflict when someone is having a transition. And so your ego tries to take the wheel and say, well, I'm going to control this situation and they're not as good as they think they are. And I'm going to do this and that. And you know what? If they're going to move anyway, so why even go to the going away party? Because they obviously don't even care about me anymore. Like those are the two aspects that can create, again, a conflict in your head that doesn't exist in real life.
I feel like we see this a lot in the Am I the Asshole stories.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like this exact thing happening, like life transitions, someone has kids, someone doesn't have kids, and some people don't adapt accordingly.
Right.
They either want things to be the same, or if they're the one that has gone through the transition, they expect the other person to just be on board.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's not fair on either side.
So yeah, if you find yourself in a situation where you're on the brink of a transition and you're not aligned with your friends, or maybe you are fearful of losing your friend to a new stage in their life, try to put your ego in check and don't let your insecurities run rampant in your head, because you could be creating a conflict that is not really there.
Yeah. Moving on to the third show that we'll be covering is Girls. Season 5, Episode 4, called Old Loves. And if you've never seen Girls, it's an HBO series created by Lena Dunham that follows 4 20-something women who are living in New York as they stumble through adulthood, relationships, and very questionable life choices. Think Sex and the City, but way messier, more millennial, and with way more emotional baggage. Way, way, way more emotional baggage.
So much more. Mm-hmm.
So here's the setup. Hannah is the main character. She's a quirky, self-absorbed, aspiring writer. I would say narcissistic, which I think a lot of people are at that age.
Yeah, 100%.
And Adam is her intense, emotionally unpredictable ex-boyfriend. They have had a long, complicated, very on-again, off-again relationship. So there's a lot of love there. There's a lot of hurt there.
For sure. It's definitely a toxic relationship. And the other core relationship in that show is the one between Hannah and Jessa. So Jessa is Hannah's longtime best friend. She is free-spirited, chaotic, and definitely addicted to drama as well as drugs. She becomes sober. Actually, she is attending AA meetings in this episode. But during this time of her discovering her sobriety, she starts to develop feelings for Adam when Adam and Hannah are broken up. So this is obviously a huge betrayal because it breaks the number one rule in girl code, which is you do not date your best friend's ex. So let's unpack a little bit of this particular episode, because I will say, Robin and I discussed talking about another episode later in the season. And this is after Adam and Jessa start hooking up, but nobody knows that they're dating. And there is just an absolutely brilliant shot where Hannah from her window can see Adam in a window and then Jessa on the street. And she sees the way that Jessa is looking at Adam and the way that Adam is looking at Jessa. And that's when Hannah knows that they are together. We talked about doing that episode because that's really where the betrayal is personified. But this particular episode is really where the betrayal begins, because Jessa is really wrestling with these feelings. She is doing her best to push Adam away. He's coming on her strong. And he even says to her, if the shoe was on the other foot, Hannah would not think twice to go for this. She would push you out of the way to go for this relationship. So why are you acting like you guys are such good friends? And it plants this seed in Jessa's head where you can see she realizes, well, if I wasn't friends with Hannah, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal to go for Adam.
Right. And that's when Jessa starts partially, maybe subconsciously, emotionally distancing herself from Hannah. And I feel like this is very similar to Robin and Lily in How I Met Your Mother.
Yes. She's getting ahead of it.
Yeah, getting ahead of it. And so part of their relationship, Jessa's always kind of mean to Hannah, but she takes it a step further in this episode. And Hannah makes a joke about ending their friendship, which to me is a clear bid for connection. And Jessa agrees with no hesitation. the heartbreak in that scene.
Oh,
Like, my stomach dropped. I was just like, oh my God, what a gut punch.
yeah. And I love that scene, even though it is hard to watch because it feels so authentic. Like, these are clearly friends that are like sisters to each other that have already said the meanest things to each other throughout the course of their friendship, right? They've loved each other as much as they have hated each other. So there's part of this scene that feels like this is just a normal fight, but Jessa is not letting up with how cold she is being to Hannah.
And she's not making eye contact. I noticed that. Like, she was not really making eye contact at all.
Mm-mm. And she is almost, you can see her trying to be mad at someone. It's kind of like when you're in a fight with your boyfriend or girlfriend and they start kind of loosening up, but you're like, no, I'm not ready to be done being mad at you. You know what I mean? And you're like really holding your ground as the person who's mad. You can see Jessa really working overtime to convince herself that she actually is mad at Hannah and is just really being mean in a different way. And Hannah picks up on it. So that scene was challenging because you know why Jessa is doing this. And Hannah doesn't know why she's doing this. And she is just like a little child trying to get the approval of someone that she admires. But my favorite part, after Hannah says, well, maybe we're just growing apart. Maybe we're just not friends anymore. And Jessa says, yeah, I guess not, in a really callous way. Hannah leaves, stands outside, waiting for Jessa to follow her, waiting for this to actually be a fight that could conclude with some kind of resolution. And when she realizes that's not going to happen, she marches right back in and says, for the record, you are the biggest bitch I have ever met in my entire life. You are such a fucking cunt.
Yes. Yes.
And I love that part so much because Hannah's like, you know what? No, I'm not the problem. I don't know whatever's going on with you, but it is not me. This is entirely you.
Yep. It's selfishness disguised as honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Jessa, like, you could see it all over. Like, she's like, I'm just exploring the idea of us not being friends. Like, what? Because that's her brand. That's her persona, is to be overly honest. But this is just straight up selfish. And she is soft launching the loss of this friendship to justify what is coming. Because that same night, she, like, right after that fight, she goes to Adam's apartment.
Yeah, right after, 100%.
And they have really terrible sex. It made me really happy.
Gets what she deserves. I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get, is this whole buildup was for nothing, for the person who's never seen Girls, I'm going to spoil it a little bit. Jessa and Hannah never really become friends again after this. Like, this is what breaks their friendship.
Yeah, it ruptured their friendship, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it was a change that needed to happen. Hannah and Jessa should really have never stayed friends as long as they did. But it was, they knew each other for a long time. They met in college in those formative years. And I think that we chose this episode too because we've talked about this before. Not everybody is going to be in the last chapter of your book, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to make it all the way there. And sometimes you need somebody that is just going to so viscerally break you open that it is going to pave way for you to become the next version of yourself. And then in the subsequent season, Hannah very much becomes a new version of herself in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And this is something that almost felt like inevitable when you really understand who Jessa is as a person. And then you kind of see her with Adam. It's like that pairing actually makes way more sense, even though it was so heartbreaking for Hannah to endure.
Truly. It doesn't matter that it makes sense that they do better together. Like, what matters is the betrayal. And whether or not the friendship should have maintained, it doesn't matter because in that moment, Hannah considered Jessa her best friend.
Right.
And this was just another example as to why they shouldn't be friends anymore. Like, Jessa is not prioritizing Hannah's well-being.
Right.
So, some questions. Is it worse when someone hurts you outright or when they quietly pull away first?
They're both such different kinds of hurt, right? it's almost harder to get over the slow pulling away because there's so many pain points until it's done.
Well, and I feel like those pain points are also like tangled up with gaslighting.
Yeah. No, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. You're the one being weird. Like Jessa was trying to gaslight Hannah.
Yes.
In the froyo shop or wherever they were, to be like, Psh, no, I'm not being weird.
Yeah. And that'll drive someone crazy. So I'd almost rather it be outright.
Yeah.
And just slap me in the face. So then I at least know what the fuck happened.
Right.
To not know, that's what kills me.
The not knowing is the worst.
To know something's wrong and not know what is wrong, I will fall apart. I have fallen apart.
Yeah, it's like your brain is scrambling to put that last puzzle piece in. And when you don't have it, and someone has it, and they're not telling you what it is, and even worse, they're being like, what puzzle piece?
Yep.
And you're like, I know there was something. I know that I did something. And when you don't have that closure, it'll haunt you forever. Like whenever that Roman Empire trend was big on social media, like what is your Roman Empire? Basically, if you are not chronically online like Robin and I are, it started because most men think about the Roman Empire way more than you could ever imagine. And so the question became like, well, what is your Roman Empire? What is the one thing that you think about way more than anything else that has nothing to do with your day-to-day life? And so many women are like, the friend that doesn't talk to me anymore. Like that is the thing that will just drive you crazy forever. So yeah, I totally feel that. I would agree. I would say shoot me in the head instead of just like death by 1,000 cuts.
Ooh, so good. So good, girl. Yes. And okay, here's a question. Back to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Could this friendship fallout have been avoided even if Jessa still ended up with Adam? This particular situation, I don't think so, just because of the history between Hannah and Adam. But I do think they could have remained civil in some way if Jessa had come to Hannah first before instigating anything with Adam. Just like talking through her feelings, talking through what's happening, getting Hannah's reaction. And I think that might have changed how her and Adam's relationship panned out altogether.
Right. I don't know that there was ever a scenario where Hannah could have gotten over that just because of who Hannah is. She's the consummate victim. She's kind of a narcissist. And
absolutely,
what is really great about the show is that even though there are a lot of male-centered moments, no man ever sweeps in and saves Hannah in the end. She goes it alone, and you kind of get this sense that like she is going to handle her life, mostly single and not necessarily dependent on somebody else. So it wouldn't even be a factor of like, oh, if Hannah had just met so-and-so earlier and then was in love and gotten married, then it would have been okay. The reality is no. I think Adam was a huge part of her formative years, and Jessa was her closest friend. So I don't think there was any conversation, any level of honesty that would have kept those two together, because the reality is if it wasn't going to be Adam that split them up, it was going to be something else. Those two were in a toxic friendship with each other, and this was just a vehicle that got them there faster.
Yeah, it's true. And you're right. Like I forget like the actual personas of these characters. I'm putting myself in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. Like there's no way Hannah would react positively to that conversation with Jessa. And Jessa probably knew that, which is why she did what she did.
She was like, I'm going to burn it to the ground. I'll be the one to burn it to the ground.
Yeah. Because like there's no talking to Hannah about this. Hannah's going to lose her goddamn mind.
Right.
So the last question I want to ask, if you're facing the reality of a friendship ending through betrayal or whatever, like how do you mourn a friendship when it's being betrayed in slow motion? Like you can see it happening, but there's no stopping it. How do you process that?
That is really hard because it's almost like, the frog in the pot where you just kind of slowly turn up the heat and it doesn't notice that it's being boiled. That's kind of what that feels like. It is hard when you can really feel that you and your friend are no longer aligned. And I think what happens mostly for people is it just slowly kind of falls away without an inciting event.
Without a what?
Inciting event. Like you don't have that fight.
Okay.
The incident that kind of propels you to look at each other and say, you know what? I guess we're just not friends anymore. Most friendship fallouts don't have that like pinpointed moment of this is when we decided we are not friends. Or if that does happen, you're finally just saying something that has been true for a long time, right? So you have to, I think, ask yourself, is this just a period of strife in our friendship? Or are we becoming people who are no longer compatible? And compare how you are with that friend with how you are with the people in your life that you do feel aligned with, right?
That light you up, that bring you joy.
That light you up. And maybe even start doing a comparison of like, I never feel good about myself when I leave interactions with this person. And I haven't felt good about myself in a long time. And I no longer want to prioritize spending time with that person because it's more important to be surrounded by people who bring me joy, not people who bring me down. And I think taking control of where you're at in your life and evaluating it in a kind of a non-emotional way like that can be helpful in moving forward.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer, honestly. Like, take control of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel this betrayal, this friendship ending happening in slow motion, you're right. Turn your energy somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And let the pieces fall where they may. I know that, like, especially when it's happening in slow motion, we've talked about, like, how we can drive ourselves crazy and you feel gaslit. Let that be a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And follow your gut instincts there. Either approach the friend and confront them straight on, be like, look, this feels wrong. I'm telling you how I've been experiencing this. Either confirm it or deny it, like, whatever. Like, do you want to be friends? Like, just tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And if, like, you have the option to do that, or just focus your energy on the relationships that light you up, that bring you joy, that fill your cup. And if that friend really values your friendship and they're just going through a tough season, then it's on them to come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
They owe that to you.
Right. Well, let's wrap this up. Sometimes it's not obvious betrayals that end friendships. It's the quiet ways we start pulling away or fail to show up. Being classy isn't just about looking put together. It's about showing up for people even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient.
In all its messiness.
In all of its messiness. Yep.
And if this episode got you thinking about whether there's a friendship that you're avoiding tough conversations in, or you're in a place where you need to show up better, consider this your sign to take action. Or if you have some questions, feel free to write in. We would love to read them on the air. You can email us at artofclassiness@gmail.com.
All right, let's transition over to our class act of the week. This is where Robin and I take turns giving shout outs or highlighting classy things that we saw in the previous week. And this week it is Robin's turn. So Robin, what is your class act of the week?
So my class act is someone who quite literally gave me my life back. And his name is Dr. John Gonzalez. It's a very generic name, John Gonzalez. But he's a real person.
He exists.
When I was at my absolute worst, my health was in complete shambles. Like, my hair was falling out. My body was covered in hives. I felt like complete shit. He was the doctor that pulled me out of that. He saw the whole picture, not just my symptoms. And he, like several doctors, did not gaslight me or rush me out the door. He listened to me in a way that no other doctor had. He knew what to address in a way that no other doctor had. And he healed me. And it wasn't just me. My husband was also struggling with his own health issues. He was exhausted and sick. His stuff was nerve related. And so it was creating this whole other set of issues it was scary. And we were both so stressed out. And Dr. Gonzalez helped him too. Like, we were both running on empty, and this man rebuilt us. And it was 6 months before our wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he could not have come in at a better time. Like, my eyebrow hair was falling out, okay? I'm prepping for a wedding, and my eyebrows are missing.
Oh, my God.
It was so stressful. And today, Seth and I are healthier, we're stronger, and happier as a couple. And a huge part of that is thanks to him. I don't even live near him anymore. Like, I'm in Oregon now. He's in Texas, but I still book phone appointments with him because he's the only doctor that I fully trust. He's earned that trust with real results, and he has fulfilled all of his promises. Like, it's just been mind-blowing and life-changing for us. And he's just a lifesaver, a true class act, and I will be forever grateful to him.
Oh, that's so great, because it's so hard to find a doctor that you trust. It's such a journey that you've been through. And so it's so great to hear that there is a medical professional that you trust and that has truly given you so much life back.
Truly.
Because there's no way we'd be doing this podcast if you were where you were even 3 years ago.
Nope. No. I was so messed up, like, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
To be that sick. And like, I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
Like, when something's wrong, I want to figure out how to fix it. And I was working really hard to figure out how to fix this, and nothing was working. Like, I formed a fear of food. It was so bad. I cried every day.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to Seth. Like, such an amazing support system. Like, our marriage is already like just so solid because of what we endured before getting married.
Yeah, so true. So true. Well, great. I love that. What a great class act of the week.
Thanks.
Okay, let's finish strong with one of our favorite segments, Class or Crass. This is where we go over everyday life situations, different scenarios that you may encounter with your friends, and we decide, was that classy or was it crassy? And sometimes trashy. Ready for today's?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here is the scenario. Ghosting a friend's emotional crisis because you're too drained to deal with anyone else's problems.
This is actually a great segue from my class act.
Oh, you're right. Okay, well, I'm excited to hear your insights. Okay, so she's your best friend, but lately every interaction drains you. She spirals, she overtalks, and you're trying to protect your peace. When she says, I really need you right now, you straight up pretend you didn't see the text. You even mute notifications for a few days. Is it classy to protect your peace or crass to abandon a friend?
Okay. This is very nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, when I think about my specific situation with my health, I was the one that stopped reaching out to people, and I was fine with people not reaching out to me. Like, I was in a real dark place. And I don't recall anything huge, like friends needing me to that degree during that time. But I also couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you because I was just so far gone.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you, Robin, where when I'm going through it, like, I go it alone. And I don't necessarily feel the need to talk it out with someone until I'm like really, usually I talk to someone because they have called me and asked me, hey, what's going on? But I'm really not the first person to kind of open up that door. Like, when I'm in a crisis, my first instinct is not to pick up the phone and call somebody, or not to like pick up the phone and text somebody. Like, I usually will self-spiral for a few days before I reach out. So I feel like I am maybe that person who is just the opposite of this scenario. But I have also been in situations where I have had friends who are simultaneously going through something traumatic or something heartbreaking. And I know what it is like to see someone calling and you know that they are going to trauma dump on you, or, they really need you, and your cup is not filled up enough to handle it. And that is a shitty feeling when you're like...
Yeah, like, you just don't have the capacity.
You don't have the capacity. You don't have the energy to like absorb it. But at the same time, like, you need to be there for somebody. So I've definitely been in this situation before where I have felt sometimes bad for not answering the phone, but I've never just left somebody on mute and just like not responded when I could,
To literally say, I really need you right now, I could never ignore that call for attention.
Right. Yeah. If I get a message that says, are you up right now? Like, I'm up, even if I'm not,
I think the bigger issue here is that you're not communicating to her that she is affecting your capacity to be there for her when she really does need you.
Right.
And so I think it's important to communicate that.
Yeah.
Like, I love you so much. I'm going through my own stuff right now, and I'm finding it really difficult to constantly be bombarded with your situation. And I want to be there for you, and I want to help you talk through things, but set some boundaries.
100%. Yeah. Maybe a text back saying, I love you. I'm not in a place where I can talk right now. Can we set up a time to talk later? Like if you need the boundary of time or just you want to mentally prepare, then I think setting up a future time to talk or just letting them know what your capacity is the classy way of handling this.
Yeah. And, I think the friend needs to be a little more aware of what she's putting on you as well. Like sometimes if I'm aware that my friend is going through something, but I need to talk through something with them, like I really feel like I need them to be the person, I will say, hey, I really need to talk to you about this. Do you have the capacity?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can either say yes or no, or not right now, but how about tomorrow? Like I give them the opportunity to show up for me when they're ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. That also takes someone who's incredibly mindful. Somebody who's spiraling sometimes isn't always thinking about the best way to position it, So as the person receiving those messages, I think that, like you said, being transparent about what your capabilities are, setting up a time to actually have the conversation, be there for them, whatever you need to do to show up for the person who needs you. But to also let them know, hey, we've been going through this for a while. You seem to have been in this headspace for a good period of time. What other resources are you utilizing to help get through this? Because I love you and I want to be there for you as a friend, but I am not equipped to help you truly deal with what you're dealing with. Do you have the ability to maybe seek professional help? I can connect you with a good therapist, or have you looked into that? You know what I mean? Because talk therapy is one thing, but actual therapy, like where you're talking to a licensed professional, is transformative,
Yeah.
And so if you're really dealing with someone who's just going through it and they cannot get out of this spiral, you might need to get to a point where you're like, we need to phone a friend, and that friend is a therapist.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's the classy way to approach this situation. It would be crass to straight up ignore them, because that's not what you do to your bestie.
No, you show up.
Even when it's hard, you show up. And that's the theme of our episode today.
Yeah. Don't leave them on the bathroom floor for somebody else to clean up.
Yes, precisely.
There you have it. Proof that even the strongest friendships can hit messy, complicated moments.
And honestly, when your best friend doesn't show up the way you need them to, it can feel just as bad, if not worse, than a breakup.
If this episode brought up a time where you were hurt by a friend, or maybe you were the one pulling away, we'd love to hear your story. Email us at artofclassiness@gmail.com, and maybe we'll read it on the air.
Thanks for hanging with us today. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Art of Classiness, and leave us a review if this episode made you laugh, think, or text a friend just to say, hey, sorry about that one time.
See you next time, and remember, classy is a state of mind.
So mind your classiness.
Bye.